State Bank is a locally owned and managed bank with convenient locations in southwest Wisconsin and northeast Iowa. If you're looking for a place where you're more than just a number, but still have access to convenient technology and low fees, People's State Bank is it. As a community bank, they're proud to support many of the local charities, county fairs, community events, and more. When you become a part of People's State Bank, you can be confident that you're standing with a good cause. People's State Bank, member FDIC. People's State Bank is a locally owned and managed bank with convenient locations in southwest Wisconsin and northeast Iowa. If you're looking for a place where you're more than just a number, but still have access to convenient technology and low fees, People's State Bank is it. As a community bank, they're proud to support many of the local charities, county fairs, community events, and more. When you become a part of People's State Bank, you can be confident that you're standing with a good cause. People's State Bank, member FDIC.
Good afternoon, softball fans, and welcome to Great Regional Health Center and People's State Bank coverage of high school softball, presented by Cuba City, Kieler, and Darlington Family Dental, and Carey Seamless Gutters and Overhead Doors on the Queen Bee Radio Sports YouTube channel, powered by Tim Slack Auction and Realty and H&M Plumbing, Heating, and Electrical. From Splitter Park in Cuba City, the Mineral Point Pointers take on the Cuba City Cubans, ranked third in Division 4, to battle for the lead of Southwest Wisconsin Activities League Softball. For the Wolf Construction broadcast table, I'm Steve Prestegard, and it certainly seems likely that the Swall softball title will be decided in the next 5 days between this game today and the rematch in Mineral Point coming up on Tuesday. Both of these teams have been rolling since the return from the Gulf Coast Classic in Alabama. The Pointers have lost just once to Lamira, which is ranked 10th in Division 4. Meanwhile, the Cubans have won 11 games in a row with 3 shutouts in a row coming into this game. On the Shoebox scoreboard presented by the Shoebox in Black Earth, the largest independent shoe store in the Midwest. Also in the Swall and softball today, Iowa Grant is at Darlington, Fenimore is at Boscobel, and Riverdale is at Southwestern. Cuba City and Mineral Point at 7-0. Iowa Grant 6-2. Fenimore 4-4. Southwestern and Riverdale at 3-5. Darlington 1-7. And Boscobel still looking for its first win of the season. Right now, time for the Raleigh Cheese pregame show presented by Raleigh Cheese at the intersection of Highways 11 and 23 in the heart of Lafayette County. Don't forget the cheese. And today's game is brought to you by Clare Bank with their 8 community locations in southwest Wisconsin. Proud to support our community events. Clare Bank, where they say we can do that. Member FDIC and an equal housing lender. We're also brought to you by Ivy's Construction in Mineral Point. Ivy Construction Incorporated is a family-owned and operated ready-mix aggregate and excavation company serving southwest Wisconsin. Ivy's Construction, Mineral Point. Welcome to the Raleigh Cheese pregame show on the Queen Bee Radio Sports YouTube channel. Mineral Point in Cuba City for the Swall Softball League. We're joined by Mineral Point coach Quinn Schultz. Thanks for joining us. I guess it's not too surprising. You know, you're undefeated in the conference. They're undefeated in the conference. Kind of the setup for this is not a real surprise, is it?
No, coming into this season, we knew it would be us in Cuba with Iowa Grant and Fenimore. You know, those would probably be the top 4 teams in the conference. So this would be the end of our first round of conference play with them, and we sort of figured, or hoping.
Okay, and of course the funny part about this game is 5 days from now you're playing them again, which is a little unusual, but does it really change anything or not?
No, it doesn't. It really doesn't. You know, we play them twice a year. It doesn't matter if it's the first and last game of the season. We know them pretty well. We know what they're going to try to do. You know, they know what we're going to do, and we'll just see what happens tonight.
Okay, what do you feel like you guys are doing well, and what do you feel like you need to do better?
Right now, I think our defense is really good. We make a lot of plays. We make the routine plays, and you know, and we're sort of young out here too. So what we can do better is always we can be more consistent hitting, right? That goes up and down with depending on the weather a little bit. You know, it's always tough to hit in cold weather, but
and the wind blowing in.
Yeah, we've had a lot of wind. Yeah, so that matters. So hopefully when it warms up, that comes around for us.
Okay, so Cuba City. Well, I don't know how they dropped from second to third since they've shut out their last three opponents, but at any rate, they're playing very well, obviously. What kind of challenge do the Cubans give you?
I see them as very similar to us, right? Good pitching, good defense, good hitting, good base running. I think they're a little older than we are, right? I think they have a few more seniors than we do. That's where they have the edge, but we'll see what happens.
All right, thanks a lot. Good luck today.
Thank you very much.
Quinn Schultz, Mirror Point Coach. We'll be back with more from Cuba City after these messages on the Queen Bee Radio Sports YouTube channel. Today's game brought to you by Mound City Bank. Their total line of credit allows you to use the equity in your home to do the things you want. Stop at a Mound City Bank to apply. Offer subject to approval. Member FDIC and equal housing lender. Learn more at moundcitybank.com. Also brought to you by Schneidl's Heating and Cooling, your local Daikin dealer. Call Bradley Schneider.
Benjamin, take two. In 3,
Just a second.
2, 1.
Call Bradley Schneider at Schneidl's Heating and Cooling for heating, ventilating, and air conditioning service from Schneidl's Heating and Cooling in Bloomington. We're brought to you also by Anderson Rubber Turret in Dubuque, powering your audio stream. Anderson Rubber Turret in Dubuque when you are ready. And Grant Regional Health Center, the ortho team, Dr. Brad Binsfeld and Nate Stocco, PAC, provide exceptional care for sports-related injuries. Grant Regional Health Center, better health starts here.
Raleigh Chiefs pregame show continues on the Queen Bee Radio Sports YouTube channel. Battle for first, Mineral Point and Cuba City. We're joined by Cubans coach Megan Rogeman. Thanks for joining us. You guys obviously are really on a roll right now. You haven't lost in the state of Wisconsin. And you have a 3-game shutout streak. What do you guys feel like you're doing really well right now?
I think we've got really good team chemistry with bringing back the starters that we have. They've done a really nice job of stepping up and being positive leaders that way. Peyton's been doing a great job on the mound for us, and we're just really trying to play solid fundamental ball every single day.
And you have to think, there's a line from some baseball coach a long time ago that if you shut out a team, you can guarantee a tie, right? Something like that?
Yeah, and again, Peyton does a great job. She keeps us in games, and, defensively the team is there to support her. So, again, we're just focused on one inning at a time.
You're, of course, coming off second place in the state last year. Now, obviously, there's a place you could finish higher than that if everything goes according to what you want to do. Is it different motivating this team from last year? Or is that not? It seems like that's not a problem, but is it different? How you handle last year's team versus this year's team?
No, I think last year and this year, again, our mentality always is it's the next game. That's the big game that we focus on. So we just try to take things one game, one practice, one day at a time, and focus on what's in front of us.
Okay. Mineral Point, and it's the first time actually you're playing twice in 5 days, which is kind of interesting thanks to the weather. As far as today goes, what kind of challenges do the Pointers give to you?
Mineral Point's a really solid team. They play all phases of the game really well, so I think we just, again, have to have that one-pitch mentality and focus on doing the little things right today.
All right, thanks a lot, and good luck today.
Thank you.
Megan Rogeman, Cubans coach. We'll be back with Mineral Point and Cuba City after these messages on the Queen Bee Radio Sports YouTube channel.
Queen Bee Radio proudly brings you People's State Bank and Grant Regional Health Center coverage of high school sports. Presented by Cuba City, Kieler, and Darlington Family Dental, and Carey Seamless Gutters and Overhead Doors. And sponsored by Faust Electric, Brian's Auto Body and Paint, Bytech Incorporated, Carver's Hardwood Flooring, Claire Bank, Donnie's Tire and Auto, Fuller's Milker Center, Gary's Pest Control, Community First Bank, Guy's Truck and Tractor Service, Hernson's Ace Hardware, Krantz Auto Parts, the Peterson Agency, the Raleigh Cheese House, Mound City Bank, the Russell Law Office, the Shoebox, Sloan Implement, Timmerman's Talents, Tricor Insurance, and Wolf Construction.
Our injury report today brought to you by Russell Law Offices. If you've been injured, contact Russell Law Offices. Their experienced team of personal injury lawyers will fight for your rights and help you get the compensation you deserve. Visit russellawwi.com. The biggest news as far as injuries goes has to do with Mineral Point. Their senior pitcher, Liz Hoffman, injured her right wrist back on the 26th. She is obviously not pitching today. They're going to see a doctor tomorrow, I guess, to see if progress is being made on recovery for that. And the hope is to get her back in time later this season, and certainly for the postseason. Everybody else on both sides reportedly ready to go. Colors of the game presented by Cuba City Family Dental, Kieler Family Dental, and Darlington Family Dental. 3 convenient locations to serve your dental needs. Cuba City this is a wise choice, actually, for both teams. Cubans are wearing gold jerseys with black pants and black and gold stirrups over their white sanitary socks. Of course, some players are also wearing the combination sweater and uniform that is black, and it works as a uniform because it's got their number on the back. Mineral Point, royal blue jerseys, black pants, and blue shoes. Actually, blue socks. The shoes, well, some are white, some are black, it looks like. The reason, of course, that a non-white color is a wise choice today is, as everybody knows, I think it's been raining. It's been raining on and off for quite a while today. And I suppose I should depress myself and take a look at maybe the rain will hold off. It is, looks like it's moved out of the area, at least for now. Of course, that doesn't mean that it won't develop somewhere else, but right now it is cloudy and 53 degrees, and the wind at the moment seems to be blowing in from right field. Not a lot of wind, although enough to unfurl the flag to our, which is, of course, in center field here at Splendor Park. This is, again, a ballpark with a northeast to southwest orientation, so if you were standing at home plate looking at the pitcher or to the big scoreboard in center field, you are looking to the southwest. Today's game is, turn the page, brought to you by Community First Bank. For you in the communities where you live, work, and play, experience for yourself the difference at Community First Bank, cfbank.com, member FDIC. Just checking, make sure we are streaming. We're also brought to you by Herms's Ace Hardware and Home Center in Bloomington and Herms's Ace Hardware at the bottom of Main and Platteville. See Herms's for the perfect paint for your next project. Herms's Ace Hardware, Bloomington and Platteville. And Russell Law Offices, here to assist as your local legal representation. Call for a consultation to discuss personal injury, estate planning, family law, criminal defense, probate administration, and more. Proudly serving Southern Wisconsin, Russell Law Offices. Starting lineups today brought to you by Fuller's Milker Center. See Fuller's complete hygiene line and options for your brand new dairy setup or existing parlor remodel. Fuller's in Lancaster and Richland Center, and at Fuller'sMilkerCenter.com. Mineral Point comes in at 10-4, and they are 7-0, tied for first, just like Cuba City in the Southwest Wisconsin Activities League. Here is their starting lineup. Maddie Cabot, the center fielder, will lead off. Batting second is Jalen Schultz. She plays second base. Batting third is catcher Allie Baylor. And the cleanup batter is written down here someplace, Austin Kinch, who is a freshman, by the way, at first base. The pitcher today is Ada Tuttle, and she will bat fifth. Batting sixth, Ella Kroll. The third baseman batting seventh is Chloe McVeigh, who is playing left field. Eliza Ingwell is the shortstop. She bats 8th. And Ava Ingwell, the right fielder, bats 9th. First pitch from Peyton Guile is ball 1. And we're underway on once again, a day for football weather. That's a fastball outside. It's 2 balls and no strikes to Cabot, the leadoff hitter. The defense, Peyton Guile, of course, on the mound or in the pitcher circle. Brooklyn Dressler is the catcher. Summer Rogers is at third. Ella Vosberg at short. Addie Schoaf is at second base. Josie Cruiser is at first. Trita Redford in left. Ayla Nolan is in center. And in right field is Emma Joel. And the count, 3 balls and a strike to Maddie Cabot. Wind now looks like it is shifted a little bit. Seems to swirl a lot around here. Going from now right field to left field, and that pitch is a called strike, and it's 3 balls and 2 strikes. Nobody out at the top of the first inning, and you got to give credit to Cabot on a day like today. No sleeves, bare arms, 3-2 pitch. Swing and a miss, and down goes Cabot for the first out of the ball game. And here is second baseman Jalen Schultz, a junior. And the pitch popped foul out of play for strike 1. I hope that thump was just against the pavement and not forcing somebody else. Well, of course, I don't know. I might be the only person from Platteville here, because you can tell people from Platteville based on the state of their windshields. The 0-1 pitch, fastball outside, 1 ball, 1 strike.
Go, Ken.
The 1-1. Up the middle. Step attempt up the middle, but that will be a base hit. So Schultz has the game's first hit. And she's at first with 1 out in the top of the first inning. And here is Allie Baylor, the catcher. Merrill Point has had slightly closer games than Cuba City has had this season. The Cubans, of course, they have 3 shutouts in a row, and on the season they've had 7 shutouts. They've also had 2 games where they gave up just 1 run and 2 games where they gave up just 2 runs. 1 strike. And that's a bunt attempt, and the throw back to first. And back in time is Schultz, and it's 1 ball and 1 strike. Correction, 2 strikes. They did call that, the home plate umpire did call that a strike. Here is the 0-2, popped foul, and that will go back in the parking lot. I don't think it hit anything. I have to notice that behind me, the skies look kind of dark. Although, according to my radar, there's no rain there. Maybe it's just the attempted sunlight or something like that. 2 strikes with 1 out in the top of the first. And that's a swing into this. 2 out. Peyton Guile, of course, the starting pitcher last year as well when the Cubans got to the state championship game in Division 4 before losing to Fall Creek on a day that was probably 10 degrees warmer than this, but also a day that featured light rain, as those of us who were sitting outside at the Goodman Diamond could tell. Ball 1, meanwhile.
Go, Peyton.
I mean, the scary part about this season is that this weather, which has not been pleasant at all, has been, however, pretty typical for spring. Downstairs, and it's 2 balls and no strikes, or maybe it has to do with whatever night I am out to do a game, possibly. Maybe that's it. Nicest game that I've seen was actually a week ago when the game started between Lancaster and Platteville, and it was 72, and then the sun went away, the temperature dropped into the high 50s. Fouled off, but it's 2 balls and a strike. Schultz is the runner at first with 2 out of the top of the first inning. And Giles' 2-1 pitch. Hit foul hard down the third baseline. And apparently he must have hit her or something like that because that's an out. She must have hit it off herself, I guess. And so I believe that counts as a strikeout. And that ends on an odd note the first inning. 1 hit, 1 left. After a half inning, Mineral Point nothing. Cuba City coming to bat, and on our Fuller's Milker Center starting lineup presented by Fuller's Milker Center. See Fuller's complete hygiene line and options for your brand new dairy setup or existing parlor remodel. Fuller's in Lancaster and Richland Center, and at fullersmilkercenter.com. For Cuba City, they are 13-2, also 7-0, obviously, in the Swall. Otherwise, I wouldn't have said it was a battle for first. Addie Schuff, the second baseman, will lead off, batting second. Summer Rogers, the third baseman. Josie Cruiser, the first baseman, will bat third. And the cleanup batter, catcher Brooklyn Dressler. Ella Vosberg, the shortstop, will bat fifth. Peyton Guile, the pitcher, will bat sixth. Batting seventh, Ayla Nolan, the center fielder. Trita Redford, the left fielder, will bat eighth. Batting ninth is Allie Ingersoll, the designated player, and she bats for the right fielder, Emma Joel. The defense for Mineral Point, Ada Tuttle, who is a sophomore and about to pitch, is the pitcher. Allie Baylor is the catcher. Schaff leads off and takes low for ball one. Rest of the defense, Ella Kroll is at third. Eliza Ingwell at shortstop. Jalen Schultz is at second. Osti Kinch is at first. Popped up. And the shortstop coming over. Then it looks like the wind caught it at the last moment, and the ball ends up getting dropped. Foul, so it's 1 ball and 1 strike, and just as I say that, the wind suddenly picks up. Chloe McVeigh, meanwhile, is in left field. Maddie Cabot is in center, and Ava Ingwell is in right field. 1-1 is outside, is 2 balls and a strike. Cuba City's only losses were 2 losses in the Gulf Coast Classic in Alabama. And that's well hit to left field, and it's going to be over the head of the left fielder and over everybody's head, a home run. Leadoff home run for Annie Schuff to left field. And just like that, it's 1-0 Cuba City.
That was the first at bat, right? Where'd she hit it? Where
Over the left field wall.
All right.
And you could tell it was going to be over the left fielder's head, but the ball kept going and ended up going over the wall to the left, over to left field. Here's Summer Rogers, the third baseman. And she takes high for ball one.
Wait for it, Summer.
Next pitch. That grazes the outside corner for a strike. 1 ball and 1 strike. Also on the Shoebox scoreboard, presented by the Shoebox in Black Earth, the largest independent shoe store in the Midwest. Following this 1-1 pitch. Low, and it's 2 balls and a strike. In the Six Rivers today, the huge game. Belmont is at Barneveld. Barneveld gave Belmont its first loss, but then promptly got beat. Right now, Barneville ranked number 1 in Division 5, although that'll change probably, and Belmont in 3rd, and they're playing each other today in Barneville. 3 balls, 1 strike. Also, Argyle Blackhawks at Benton Schulzberg. Judah Albany is playing Highland in a doubleheader. And Monticello and Ruglaris is at Potosi Cassville. There's a swing and a miss. And it's 3-2. One game that was postponed was River Ridge and Pecatonica. They're supposed to play at McKellar Park, which, given its location on the east branch of the Pecatonica River, can get swampy on occasion. 3-2. Fly ball to left. And making the catch, the left fielder McVeigh, 1 away. 1-0 Cuba City. In the bottom of the first inning in the SWC today, Sauk Prairie is at Platteville, Richland Center at Wazeeka Steuben, and River Valley is at McFarland. Ridge and Valley today, Ithaca, DeSoto, Lafarge at Seneca, Kickapoo is at North Crawford, and Richland Center non-conference is at Wazeeka Steuben. First pitch is ball 1 to Josie Cruiser. You might remember she homered on Friday in the 5-0 win for Cuba City over Platteville, which of course featured Jocelyn Giles' no-hitter, which won't be duplicated because she gave up a base hit in the first inning. 2 balls, no strikes. Check swing, and it grazed the outside corner. Two balls, 1 strike. I assume, by the way, that list is correct. We know about the River Ridge Pecatonica rainout. 3 balls and a strike. At least those are the games that are scheduled to play today, and I guess it depends on how wet other fields are, or whether it maybe rained more than here or Platteville or whatever. Time called. In baseball today, meanwhile, Platteville is at Richland Center, Dodgeville at Prairie du Chien, Lancaster at River Valley in the SWC. 3-1 pitch, pop foul, and it's 3-2. And in the Swall today, Southwestern is at Schulzberg Benton, Darlington at Pecatonica, and Iowa Grant is at River Ridge. 6 Rivers, Belmont, actually they're not playing today, they play Friday in baseball. Ridge and Valley, Weston is at Wazeeka Steuben, Ithaca, DeSoto, Lafarge at Seneca, and Kickapoo is at North Crawford. 3 balls and a strike with 1 out. In the bottom of the first inning, 1-0 Cuba City on a leadoff home run by Eddie Schaff. And a swing and a miss. Cruiser strikes out, 2 away in the first. And here's Brooklyn Dressler, the catcher. So as mentioned, both of these teams, well, Mineral Point went 1-3 actually in Alabama, while Cuba City went 2-2 in the Gulf Shores Classic. Swing and a miss for strike 1. Mineral Point got beat by Wicksburg 6-1 and Athens 10-0, and then also Orange Beach 12-0. That, by the way, Orange Beach was the state champ last year in Alabama in softball, apparently. Called strike. And it's 2 strikes. Cuba City, meanwhile, they got beat by Rehoboth, I believe that is, 6-1. Beat Morristown, Tennessee. That's foul. Well hit, but foul down the third baseline. Beat Morristown East from Tennessee 5-3. Beat Glenwood, Alabama 8-2, and then got beat 12-0 by the aforementioned Orange Beach. Meanwhile, a 2-out walk for Dressler. And here's Ella Vosberg, the shortstop, and Dressler will depart in favor of a courtesy runner, whose number I was not able to see due to her hair. So, at any rate, here's Vosberg with 2 out. One nothing Cuba City, and a runner at first at the bottom of the first inning. Ball 1. 1-0 pitch to right field. That'll drop actually just past the second baseman for a base hit. And still going over to third. The throw is in time. A 4-5 put out at third. Vosburg will go back to the plate in the second inning. But after the leadoff home run by Schaff plus a walk, 1 run, 1 hit, 1 left. And after an inning, Cuba City 1 and Mineral Point nothing on the Cream Bee Radio Sports YouTube channel. Our game today brought to you by Brian's Auto Body and Paint Specialist, the pros at Brian's. Get the job done right for unexpected dings or major repair projects. Head to Brian's Auto Body and Paint in Lancaster. McNett Electric in Belmont can assist you with all your electrical needs. Chip and his crew at McNett Electric are on call or ready to help you with your agricultural, business, and commercial needs. McNett Electric in Belmont. And CJ ATM Service. See Chuck Schneering for all your business and large-scale event ATM needs. Find CJ ATM Service on Facebook to learn more. CJ ATM Service in Platteville. 1-0 Cuba City as we go to the second inning. Home run by Addie Schaff is the difference after one whole inning. Guile gave up a single, but Schultz was left at first. Here's the pitcher, Tuttle, who, thanks to the injury to Liz Hoffman, probably is getting a whole lot more playing time than she thought she would, possibly. The thing, of course, is that obviously benefits you in the future. Here's a pop-up, and caught by the third baseman, Summer Rogers, one away. Here's Ella Kroll, the third baseman. Both of these teams, record-wise, very similar last year, and obviously quite similar this year. Mineral Point went 21-4, and unlike so far this season, 3 of their 4 losses were in the Swall. But they ended up getting knocked off in the regional final by Fenimore 11-0, which I think shocked everybody. Not necessarily losing the game, but that kind of margin. Meanwhile, as you could probably tell, that bounced off the backstop upon which is our camera. 1 ball, 1 strike with 1 out. And the wind has also picked up, and it's not a warm wind. Here's the 1-1. Low. Actually caught the inside, or caught the knees for a strike. And it's 1-2. So Mineral Point was 21-4 last year. They were 11-3, which put them in third in the Swall. Fouled off down the right field, or down the first base side on a pitch that was outside. Cuba City last year went 12-2 to win the Swall. Grounded to second base and Schaff over to first. And 2 out in the top of the second inning. 1-0 Cuba City. And here is Chloe McVeigh, the left fielder. And she swings and misses. 4 strike 1. Yeah, you know how it goes. If this were November, nobody would be complaining about the weather, but this is not November, and it's 1 ball, 1 strike. Of course, theoretically, if this was a football game with this weather, you wouldn't be playing during the daytime usually. Swing and a miss. 1 ball, 2 strikes. except possibly for long-distance playoff games, or state, for that matter, obviously. I'm trying to remember the last time that I did a postseason game that wasn't state and it was during the day. Here's the 1-2. Swing to this, strike 3. Well, maybe it'll come to me later, but a 1-2-3 inning for Peyton Guile in Cuba City in the top of the second. Cuba City 1, Mineral Point nothing after 1.5. We're brought to you by Tim Slack Auction and Realty. Whether buying or selling, call Tim, Kathy, Chase, and their staff today. Tim Slack Auction, Realty, Lancaster, and Fenimore. Justin Washburn and the H&M Plumbing, Heating, Electrical team continue to provide top-quality plumbing, heating, electrical services for your business, home, and farm. H&M Plumbing, Heating, Electrical, serving you in Fenimore, Lancaster, and Boscobel. And we're brought to you by TriStar Pallets of Highland and TriStar Mulch, Cobb, and Platteville. Beautify your home with decorative colored mulch. Give Jim Drury in the gang a call at TriStar Pallets of Highland and TriStar Mulch, Cobb, and Platteville. Also today, I guess I better check this on the Shoebox Scoreboard presented by the Shoebox in Black Earth, the largest independent shoe store in the Midwest. The Brewers playing today on AM 1590 WPVL, and they lose to the White Sox 8-0. They'll have the Cubs coming in tomorrow. We'll have that at 6:35 on ESPN Radio AM 1590 WPVL. Fosberg. Well, Peyton Guile actually is batting. I guess she was the one who was out. It wasn't a caught stealing. So Peyton Guile bats. I thought it was a caught stealing before. I guess it was one of those. And as the pitch is called strike outside corner, it's 2 strikes. There is, believe it or not, and I read it a few times in the Sporting News back when it existed, because I used to have a subscription to Sports Illustrated and the Sporting News. That's pop foul off the backstop. The 4th out replacing the 3rd out, and I never understood it, and it doesn't mean anything really, because an out's an out, basically to end an inning. So at any rate, it's 2 strikes, and that's a swing and a miss. Guile strikes out, 1 away. If I remember correctly, it was a sort of explanation about strikeout throwouts as to which one counts with 2 out, which is a weird, but I'm positive I read it a couple of times, and every explanation I didn't understand. So at any rate, strike 1 to Alan Nolan, the center fielder. Swing and a miss, 0-2. Well, Tuttle certainly can throw fastballs, no question about that. Yes, for those who don't remember, the Sporting News used to be a weekly sports newspaper. And the 0-2, high, and it's 1 ball, 2 strikes. And so, obviously it's printed on newsprint, although it did have color photos by the time I was a subscriber. I would read that, and I would read Sports Illustrated every week. Swing and a miss, and 2 away in the bottom of the second inning, with Cuba City leading Mineral Point 1-0 in this battle for first in the Swall. Here's Trina Redfern, the left fielder. And the thing about the Sporting News is their phrase for years, decades even, was the baseball Bible. And so you would get every box score of every major league game. You didn't have to wait for it in the paper. They would have every box score every week. 2 balls, no strikes. They would also have the most complete minor league standings. And this was back when there were more minor leagues. Well, more organized minor leagues, because teams like, as that's fouled off, right off the backstop again. 2 balls and a strike. All I can say is bungee cords are helpful. Bungee cords and tripods. 2-1. Fouled off the backstop instead, kind of a couple of paddles over instead of right behind here. 2 balls and 2 strikes. They also had, the Sporting News had a couple of, and by my definition, back when I was a teenager, ancient columnists. Here's the 2-2. Just outside, 3 balls, 2 strikes. Remember, one of them was Joe Falls, who was a Detroit sports writer for many years. But the most acerbic one was undoubtedly Dick Young, who was for the New York Post. Swinging and miss, meanwhile, in the side, retired via the strikeout. So Tuttle up to 4 strikeouts, a 1-2-3 second inning at our score after 2. Cuba City 1, Mineral Point nothing on the Queen Bee Radio Sports YouTube channel. In today's game, brought to you by First Supply of Platteville, your total commercial plumbing and heating wholesale outlet. When quality parts are needed, when quality parts are needed, the experts rely on First Supply in Platteville. We're also brought to you by Guy's Truck and Tractor for heavy-duty towing and recovery, reliable 24-hour roadside service, and long-distance transports. Call on Guy's Truck and Tractor in Kieler and at guystruck.com. Carver's Hardwood Flooring. For hardwood flooring, stair installation, or refinishing needs, call Ryan Carver, the only National Wood Flooring Association certified installer, sander, and finisher in the tri-state area. Carver's Hardwood Flooring in Benton. Also brought to you by Krantz Auto Parts, the local hardware, Hank, and Napa dealer. See Rob Krantz and the crew at Krantz Auto Parts for full service repair on cars and light trucks to Krantz Auto Parts in Fenimore. Top of the 3rd inning here at Splinter Park in Cuba City. Cubans 1 run, 1 hit, 1 left. Mineral Point no runs, 1 hit, 1 left. Swing and a miss by Eliza Ingwell, the shortstop, batting 8th. Of course, Sports Illustrated also, as a weekly magazine, had coverage of games that had just taken place, big games. Similar to the Sporting News, another swing and a miss at its 0-2. And the demise, well, I think the Sporting News, now that I think about it, I think the Sporting News is online, but I'm pretty sure they don't print anymore. They went to a monthly print publication. You just absolutely cannot do that and be a reputable sports source. Meanwhile, Ingwell strikes out 1 away. And here is the other Ingwell, Ava, who's playing right field. You just absolutely, it's impossible to be a monthly sports publication and be relevant. That's a called strike. Because in the time, and I know this, having worked in print my entire life, that the lead time between when you have to write something, when you print something as a monthly, that just absolutely kills you if you're trying to provide breaking news of any sort. 2 strikes with 1 out. And the 0-2. Called strike 3. And 2 away in the bottom of the 2nd inning. And here is Maddie Cabot, who struck out back in the 1st. There used to be actually a lot more sports publications that actually did sports journalism, in addition to SI, which is around as a monthly now. That's fouled off. How long they will remain as a monthly before they just pull the print plug remains to be seen, of course. Sporting News is not printed anymore, although again I think it was online. There was also Sport Magazine, and in the 80s created Inside Sports Magazine. 1 strike to Cabot, and that's outside for 1 ball and 1 strike. The problem is that you are basically limited to essentially sports features if you are going to be a monthly sports publication. There's a strike. And the count 1-2 And the problem is, again, between when you decide to write a story and when the story comes out, a lot can change, which 1-2 pitch fouled off. That always poses a problem. And, ooh, boy, I hope that wasn't my vehicle. 1-2 with 2 out. I don't think it was, because I think I actually moved the station vehicle over a little bit because it was a little bit closer. I think I'm okay. 1-2 outside, and it's 2-2. Two and 2 with 2 out. And Giles' pitch. A flare caught by Cruiser at first. And that ends the top of the third. Another 1-2-3 inning for Peyton Guile. And after 2.5, Cuba City 1, Mineral Point nothing. We're brought to you by Bytech Resource Management, a Greenaway Bytech Resource Management of Monroe. Carey Seamless Gutters and Overhead Doors, Belmont Prairie Sheen, and at Carey'sGuttersandDoors.com. Sloan Implement, your official John Deere dealer, Bloomington, Cuba City, Montford, and at Sloans.com. And Bouse Electric, call Brad Adrian and Josh Busher at Bouse Electric, Lancaster, and Fenimore. Bottom of the third inning. 1-0 Cuba City. It'll be the 9-1-2 batters. Ingersoll, the designated player, will lead off. The wind, after initially it was blowing in from right, now it's shifted a little bit to where it is blowing, I guess, from the northwest, which would be from right field to left field. First pitch from Tuttle to Ingersoll is outside for ball 1.
Go, Allie.
1-0 pitch. That's upstairs. 2 balls and no strikes. I think I mentioned this during our first game, but for those who weren't around to hear that, there's only been one real change, but it's kind of an interesting one, is the pitch outside, or a pitch for a strike, 2 balls and a strike. The only rule change, but it is a 21st century rule change to be sure. 2-1 swing and a miss, and it's 2-2. Rule change is that that electronic devices are now allowed to be used by coaches to signal pitches. Here's the 2-2. That's low, 3 balls and 2 strikes. Show for homered to lead off the ball game, and so far has the only run of the game is on deck. Here's the 3-2. And that's a called strike. 1 gone in the bottom of the third inning. And Schoaf homered to left field. I don't know that ball had a whole lot of help from the wind, though, or needed a lot of help from the wind. 1 ball, no strikes. But the rule now is that you can use an electronic device for the coach to signal pitches to the catcher. That's inside and low, 2 balls and no strikes. And apparently that would include anything from a smartwatch to a smartphone. Although how in the world a player has a smartphone is beyond me when they're playing up the middle. And I think that was off the pitcher and juggled at first, but caught. And 2 out in the bottom of the third inning. Here's Summer Rogers, who flied to left in the first inning. 1-0 Cuba City. 2 outs in the bottom of the third inning. And that's at foul for strike 1. Of course, before, coaches would either signal to the catcher one way or another, or sometimes to the pitcher also. 1-1, high. 2 balls and a strike. And I guess I anticipate it's actually 1 ball and 1 strike. 1-1. Now it's 2 balls and a strike. I can see into the future, 1 pitch ahead. 2-1 with 2 out.
Come on, Summer.
Fouled off, 2 balls and 2 strikes. Concession stand is open, as somebody who walked past with food reminded me. And I think to myself, lunch was 4 hours ago. Here's the 2-2. High, 3 balls and 2 strikes with 2 out.
Here we go, Summer.
3-2. Swing of this to end the inning. Well, I guess it's not a real surprise that this would be a pitching-dominated battle. 1, 2, 3 in the third, and our score after 3. Cuba City 1, Mineral Point nothing. Grant Regional Health Center and People's State Bay coverage of high school softball presented by Cuba City, Kieler, and Darlington Family Dental and Carey Seamless Gutters and Overhead Doors on the Queen Bee Radio Sports YouTube channel, powered by Tim Slack Auction and Realty and H&N Plumbing, Heating, and Electrical. Our game today brought to you by WCC Brands Custom Apparel in Kieler and at WCC-brands.com. People's State Bank for personal home business or ag loans. Visit one of their convenient area locations or visit peoplesfinancial.com. Member FDIC. Gary's Pest Control in Dickeyville. Gary's Pest Control salutes our local athletes. Gary's Pest Control, over 40 years of professional friendly service. And Donnie's Tire Auto in Dickeyville. Call the only hooker in town for 24-hour towing service at 568-3014, 568-3014. Your home for excellent car care. Donnie's Tire and Auto in Dickeyville. Well, it's been a pitcher's battle. 1 run, 1 hit, no errors for Cuba City. They've left 1 runner aboard. No runs, 1 hit, no errors for Mineral Point. They have left 1 runner aboard. We go to the 4th inning. Schultz has the only hit of the game for Mineral Point. That was a single with 1 out in the first. And she fouls it right off the backstop again. In order to get you the best possible view, of course, the camera is right up against the screen of the backstop. Fouled off, and it's 2 strikes, which leads to kind of a funny story that has to do with softball, but not high school. Back in the, well, when I was a UW student, I was an intern at Channel 27 in Madison, and one Sunday that I was in the newsroom, it was particularly boring, nothing going on, and one of the news guys the reporter who was on suggested that I take a look at the station's blooper reels. 1 ball, 2 strikes with nobody out. Where you see things that never got on air, and you can imagine why for various reasons. That's hit to right, but caught by the shortstop, by the second baseman. Schaff, made a nice play coming over to get it, 1 away. And Schultz is 0 for 2. Here is Baylor, who struck out back in the first inning. So one of the highlights of this tape was an adult softball game in Madison. I think it was at Warner Park, and it's fouled off down the right field line. And the sports camera guy, or a camera guy, was set up between home plate and first base and off to the side. Although, as things turned out, he wasn't off to the side enough. Here's the 1-strike pitch. Pop foul again. Out of play. So this is what happened. There was a right-handed batter, and he's down the first base line shooting. And the batter hit a foul ball to the right side. And as you watch on the screen, Ball went out of play and then suddenly came back and nailed the camera right in the lens. Perfectly square. 2 strikes with 1 out. Down the right field line foul, first baseline foul again. Now, why this was significant is because the cameraman, you can imagine, what those cameras look like. You've got an eyepiece for the cameraman to look through. And so when the softball hit the lens, the eyepiece was jammed into the poor cameraman's face, and he had a nice black eye for quite a while. 2-strike pitch popped up, and it is the shortstop making the catch, and Vosberg gets the second out. 2 away in the top of the 4th. Kinch struck out back in the first inning. 1-0 Cuba City. And the first pitch is outside for ball 1. So there were 2 things that happened. The first was that the cameraman had a nice black eye and a great story to tell for probably a couple of weeks. The other thing is the camera was destroyed. They could not just replace the lens. It apparently, and this was not a cheap camera, obviously, back in those days. 2 balls and no strikes. They actually buried the camera at the TV station, and I saw footage of that. 2-0. And it's a called strike at the knees, and it's 2 balls and a strike. They actually had a burial ceremony for the camera because the softball hit it right in the lens and destroyed the camera. Outside, 3 balls and a strike. Here is the 3-1 pitch. Just, called strike, and it's 3-2. With 2 out in the top of the 4th inning. Pop foul will do 3-2 again. Mineral Point has just 1 base runner. That was Schultz in the first after her single. Cuba City's had 2. One of them, of course, was Schaff homering.
Let's go, Peyton.
And then the walk in that inning.
Go get her.
The only base runner left. Popped up behind first. Caught by Cruiser, and that ends the top of the 4th inning. We are halfway through after that 1-2-3 inning. Cuba City 1, Mineral Point nothing. Mountain City Bank's total line of credit allows you to use the equity in your home to do the things you want. Step into Mountain City Bank to apply. Offer subject to approval. Member FDIC, an equal housing lender. Learn more at mountaincitybank.com. Ivy's Construction Incorporated, Mineral Point. Ivy Construction Incorporated is a family-owned and operated ready-mix aggregate and excavation company serving Southwest Wisconsin. Ivy Construction, Mineral Point. Our game also brought to you by Schneidl's Heating and Cooling, your local Daikin dealer. Call Bradley Schneider for heating, ventilating, and air conditioning service from Schneidl's Heating and Cooling in Bloomington. Anderson Weberton in Dubuque, powering our audio stream. Anderson Weberton in Dubuque, when you are ready. And Great Regional Health Center, the ortho team, Dr. Brad Binsfeld and East Stoco PAC provide exceptional care for sports-related injuries. Great Regional Health Center, better health starts here. Bottom of the 4th inning, 1-0 Cuba City. 3-4-5 batters, Cruiser, Dressler, and Vosberg for the Cubans in this battle for first place. Remember this, that the only team that Mineral Point has lost to in Wisconsin was Lemira, and that was in Waterloo on Saturday. They lost to Lemira 7-2, and Lemira is ranked 10th in Division 4.
Go, Joe.
That is well hit to left, drops for a base hit, goes to the wall, and Cruiser will cruise into second with a double. The first pitch, that's just their second hit of the game. And Cruiser, who homered against Platteville last Friday,
Wait for it, Brooke.
has another extra base hit. Here's Brooke Dressler, who walked back in the first inning. Cruiser previously struck out in the first, but now is on base at second. And ball one, meanwhile, to Brooklyn Dressler. 1-0 pitch. Pop foul. Did that go over the backstop? I guess it must have, because I lost track of it when I looked up. 1 ball, 1 strike. Fly ball to left field, and a late break on it. It'll drop for a base hit. Cruiser did not go from second because obviously she thought it was going to be caught. It is a single for Dressler, and runners at first and second.
Good job, bud.
And a courtesy runner at first base. And meanwhile, Ella Vosberg, who struck out in the first. You look at Vosberg and Summer Rogers. I'm trying to remember all the other names here. Vosberg and Rogers, at least, as that's popped up foul on the third baseline and out of play. 1 ball, 1 strike. They have had quite impressive junior and senior years. We mentioned that Summer Rogers last year, of course, was the first player I'm aware of in this area to go to state in 3 different sports in the same school year: volleyball, girls basketball, and softball. There's a bunt and a diving catch and a throw to second, and it is safe at second. Mineral Point fans don't agree with that call. Vosberg is out, trying to bunt. And I think that was the catcher, Baylor, making the catch, but Cruiser got back to second in time. Dressler's courtesy runner, I can't see her number due to the hair again at first. And with 1 out, this hit up the middle by Guile. Now drop for, or be caught in center field, and then the throw back. 2 away. And here is Nolan, who struck out back in the second inning, as did Guile before her. 1-0 Cuba City, runners first and second, and 2 away in the bottom of the fourth. And that's a called strike. Grazed the knees. Back to the pitcher. And the throw to first is in time. Tuttle to Kinch to end the inning. Well, the Cubans get 2 hits, but neither comes home. 2 left, and after 4, it remains Cuba City 1 and Mineral Point nothing on the Queen Bee Radio Sports YouTube channel. We're brought to you by Claire Bank, with our 8 convenient locations in Southwest Wisconsin. Proud to support our community events. Claire Bank, where they say we can do that. Member FDIC and an equal housing lender. Hermson's Ace Hardware and Home Center in Bloomington. And Hermson's Ace Hardware at the bottom of Main and Platteville. See Hermson's for the perfect paint for your next project. Hermson's Ace Hardware, Bloomington and Platteville. And Russell Law Offices, here to assist as your local legal representation. Call for a consultation to discuss personal injury, estate planning, family law, criminal defense, probate administration, and more. Proudly serving Southern Wisconsin. Russell Law Offices. For Cuba City, 1 run, 3 hits, no errors. They have left 3 runners aboard. Mineral Point, no runs, 1 hit, no errors. They have left 1 runner aboard. As we go to the 5th inning, we're brought to you by Community First Bank. If you're in the communities where you live, work, and play, experience for yourself the difference at Community First Bank. CFbank.com, member FDIC. Tuttle, Kroll, and McVeigh, the 5, 6, 7 batters for Mineral Point near the top of the 5th inning. One thing about a game as cold as this is at least softball moves fast as a sport. So it's not like sometimes you can sit, here's a swing and a miss for strike one. Sometimes you can sit at a baseball game, especially if your team, it never seems to be the case in softball. Baseball is the case where you literally think this game is never going to end, where, suddenly the pitcher can't find the plate or throws up meatballs that get hit all over the place. And I don't know, it never seems like softball is like that. Just a faster paced sport for whatever reason. 1 ball, 1 strike. Fly ball, or a pop up actually, and making the catch is Schoaf. 1 out on the edge of the infield. Grand Regional Health Center and People's State Bank coverage of high school softball presented by Cuba City, Kieler, and Darlington Family Dental and Carey Seamless Gutters and Overhead Doors. On the Queen Bee Radio Sports YouTube channel, powered by Tim Slack Auction and Realty and H&M Plumbing, Heating, and Electrical. 1-0 in the top of the 5th with 1 away. Kroll grounded to third back in the 2nd inning and takes a strike.
Go Peyton.
Oh, 1 to left field, base hit. That is just the 2nd hit for the Pointers. And Kroll, obviously, the tying run at first base. And here's McVeigh, who struck out back in the 2nd inning. And we were talking about Vosburg and Rogers before. As, last year, Summer Rogers has stayed in 3 different sports. This year, of course, Summer Rogers and Vosburg and everybody else on the Cubans improved from 2nd to 1st in girls basketball. It wanted to be one of the sweeter state championships in the illustrious Cuba City girls basketball history. 12 state titles, more than anybody else. Down the first baseline, a butt. And the tag made by Cruiser. And looked like Kroll was thinking about going to 2nd, but decided against it. Going to 3rd, but decided against it. So Kroll at 2nd in scoring position with 2 out in the top of the 5th, 1-0 Cuba City. Eliza Ingwell struck out in the 3rd.
You ready, Summer?
And it takes low for ball 1. And obviously the Cubans this year ranked 3rd. They were, and don't ask me why this is. They were 2nd last week. They have 3 shutouts in a row, and they dropped to 3rd in the Wisconsin Fast Pitch Coaches Association Division 4 poll. We'll get you that poll when you get a chance here. There's a called strike, and it's 1-1. In Division 4 right now, Michicot is number 1. Stevens Point, Pacelli, and Cuba City swap spots from last week. Pacelli is 2nd, Cuba City 3rd. Oakfield is 4th. 1-1 with 2 out. Swing to this, 1-2. And then Division 5, Barneveld number 1, Belmont dropped from 1st to 2nd, although that might swap depending on, depending on what happens today, since Belmont is back in 1st. Barneveld gave them their first loss and then promptly lost. And then in 3rd in Division 5, Allman Bancroft, Johnson Creek is 4th, River Ridge is 7th, Wazeeka Stuba 9th, and this inning is over as Ingwell strikes out for the 2nd time. 1 hit, 1 left. After 4.5, Cuba City still leading Mineral Point 1-0. Today's game brought to you by Brian's Auto Body and Paint Specialists. The pros at Brian's get the job done right. For unexpected dings or major repair projects, head to Brian's Auto Body and Paint in Lancaster. McNett Electric in Belmont can assist you with all of your electrical needs. Chip and his crew at McNett Electric are on call and ready to help you with your agricultural business and commercial needs, McNett Electric in Belmont. And CJ ATM Service, see Chuck Schneering for all your business and large-scale event ATM needs. Find CJ ATM Service on Facebook to learn more. CJ ATM Service in Platteville. Bottom of the fifth inning, 1-0 Cuba City. That home run by Schaff to lead off the game, that's been it. Cubans had 2 runners aboard on 2 hits in the fourth inning, but neither scored. Mineral Point just had a runner at second, didn't get her in. So here we are. Redfern, Ingersoll, and Schaff, 8-9-1 batters in the bottom of the fifth inning for the Cuba City Cubans. Elsewhere in the rankings, we mentioned Division 5 and Division 4. In Division 3, Grantsburg number 1, Poinette second, Mayville third, Lodi is fourth, and Marshall is eighth. That's hit fouled on the first baseline. And in Division 2, which is Platteville's sectional division, Jefferson number 1, Mosinee second, Monroe is third, Ellsworth fourth, Broadhead is eighth, and Mount Horeb is ninth, and Portage is 10th. Called a ball, and it's 1 ball and 1 strike. One is a called strike, and it's 1-2. We will have, by the way, we have 3 games for you on the Queen Bee Radio family of broadcast platforms next week. We'll have softball as Fenimore comes here, and that's hit to right field and caught. Actually hit to right center field for an out, 1 away. We'll have Fenimore and Cuba City here on Tuesday at 4:10 on the Queen Bee Radio Sports YouTube channel. Next Thursday, we'll have softball here at Platteville at Dodgeville at 4:40 on AM 1590 WPVL. And then we'll have baseball, Platteville at Dodgeville at 4:40 on X1071. Called strike, which means it'll be the first time in a couple of years I go to the friendly confines of Wilson Park in Dodgeville, where the ball carries in every direction. Swing and a miss, 2 strikes to Ingersoll, who struck out looking back in the third. Remember, I did it the first game I ever did there. The team that Dodgeville was playing fouled off the backstop. They gave up Dodgeville gave up 2 home runs, back-to-back home runs in the top of the first inning, and you're like, uh-oh. And but in the bottom of the third, they hit a 3-run home run to take a 3-2 lead after 1. Swing and a miss. And Ingersoll strikes out, 2 away in the bottom of the fifth. So I'm thinking, well, the ball obviously carries to left. Well, the rest of the game demonstrated that, again, at Wilson Park, the ball carries in any direction. And we'll be there Thursday. Schaff homered in the first. That's the only run for the Cubans. Grounded to short in the third inning, takes ball 1. Outside quarter for a strike, and it's 1-1. Dodgeville, of course, leading the SWC. They also went to Alabama for the Gulf Shores Classic and came back 0-3-1. And there's a called strike, and it's 1-2 with 2 out. I would assume that means that at that tournament there's some kind of time or innings limit, and they reached it and couldn't continue. 1-2 with 2 out. 2 balls and 2 strikes. Tried to get her to chase an outside pitch, and she failed to cooperate. 2-2 with 2 out. Foul off at the plate. And we will do 2-2 again.
Here we go, Andy, right here.
Here's another 2-2 pitch. Outside, 3 balls, 2 strikes. Summer Rogers on deck.
Go on, Ed.
Three-two. Ball 4. So Schaff walks with 2 away. That was a tempting pitch, obviously. But she takes the walk. Here's Rogers, who flied to left in the first, struck out in the third. 1-0 Cuba City. 2 outs, bottom of the 5th inning. Called strike.
Come on. You got it, Summer.
0-1 pitch. That misses outside. 1 ball and 1 strike. If Cuba City doesn't score here, obviously the question is, can Peyton Guile make 1 run stand up? So far she has. The 1-1 popped up off the backstop. And it's 1-2 with 2 out.
Come on, Summer. Drive it here.
Not that Tuttle hasn't pitched well. She's got 7 strikeouts in this game and only the 1 run. That's, ouch. That is fouled off the catcher's mask. And if you ever needed to know why they wear masks, you just got a demonstration there. 1-2. That is, of course, what you see most often now, the hockey-style mask. In fact, I think that's mandatory now in high school. I don't know that anybody still uses the old-style mask that hooked up to the batting helmet or to just a cap. 2 balls, 2 strikes, 2 out. And a runner at first. Popped up behind first. Ooh. And a snow cone catch by Kinch, the first baseman, to end the inning. 1 walk, 1 left after 5. Cuba City 1, Mineral Point nothing on the Queen Bee Radio Sports YouTube channel. Our game today brought to you by Tim Slack Auction and Realty. Whether buying or selling, call Tim, Kathy, Chase, and their staff today. Tim Slack Auction Realty, Lancaster and Fenimore. Justin Washburn and the H&M Plumbing, Heating, Electrical team continue to provide top-quality plumbing, heating, and electrical service for your business, home, and farm. H&M Plumbing, Heating, and Electrical, serving you in Fenimore, Lancaster, and Boscobel. We're also brought to you by Mountain City Bank. Their total line of credit allows you to use the equity in your home to do the things you want. Stop in at Mountain City Bank to apply. Offer subject to approval. Member FDIC and an equal housing lender. Learn more at mountaincitybank.com. 9-1-2 batters for Mineral Point in the top of the 6th inning. Cuba City 1 run, 3 hits, no errors. They have left 3 runners on base. Correction, 4 runners on base. And Mineral Point, no runs, 2 hits, no errors, and they have left 2 runners on base. As it starts to get a little bright, I'm not sure what that means. Hard to believe the sun could penetrate the thick clouds here at Splitter Park. First pitch is a bunt attempt, or actually was scoring the bunt, was Ingwell, but she held up, so it's ball 1. Ingwell struck out looking in the 3rd inning.
Nice pitch.
Called strike, and it's 1-1. Peyton Guile with 7 strikeouts and has not given up a walk. There's a bunt, but fielded well, and the throw to first in time. Cruiser did a great job fielding the ball and throwing immediately to first, and the second baseman, Schaff, came over to get the putout, 1 away. Back to the top of the order, Maddie Cabot, who struck out in the 1st and then popped to first in the 3rd. Mineral Point has had one runner past first base, and that's been it. Ball one outside. And, of course, they've only had two base runners in the game. Schultz, who singled, the only single of the game, and then Kroll with a single. That's been it. Swing and a miss. One ball, one strike. Cabby gets signals from her coach. Pitches outside. 2 balls and a strike. Quinn Schultz, 17 years coaching the Pointers. And again, as we mentioned before, if you think this was a good ball game, well, head to Mineral Point on Tuesday because they're going to play again, these two teams. Outside, 3 balls and a strike. And obviously, these two teams are going to be quite highly seeded when the seeding comes up. Believe it or not, the postseason starts in, I believe, 3 weeks. Popped up on the infield, and that's a foul pop-up out for Peyton Guile. She was actually just on the foul side of the first baseline, 2 away. And here is Schultz, who singled in the first, popped a second in the fourth. 1-0 Cuba City. 2 outs in the top of the 6th in the battle for first place in the Swall, and another foul off the backstop. It does occur to me that I wonder if I should get some sort of like cushioning or something like that for the camera. Not for me, I'm behind the fence. Floats one just outside, 1 ball and 1 strike. Fans behind me felt that was a strike. Busy day in Cuba City, by the way. There's a track meet also going on over at the high school. 1-1, 2 balls and a strike. Cubans baseball team plays tomorrow. They will host Riverdale. Cubans are 5-1 in second place in the Swall behind Fenimore, which is undefeated at the moment, 4-0. And in fact, undefeated period. They're 7-0, at least according to Wrist Sports, and yet they're not ranked. That makes me wonder if that's accurate. That is hit to left field and in for a base hit. So Schultz aboard for the second time with 2 out. And here is Baylor, who struck out in the first inning and then popped to the pitcher. Let me try that again. Popped to short in the 4th inning. And obviously Schultz at first is the tying run. It's going to bunt. There's the throw, and diving back, but a bad throw, but it's backed up by Cruiser. Well, that could have been disastrous in 2 different ways because Schultz, they threw down on the bunt attempt, and she was briefly in a rundown. She dove back to first, and then the throw went past first base, but Cruiser alertly grabbed it, so she was not able to go farther than first. And after all of that, 1 ball, no strikes. Retz to the backstop, and that will get Schultz to second. Wild pitch, first of the game, and suddenly Schultz is in scoring position at second. And it's 1 ball, 1 strike with 2 out in the top of the 6th. 1-0 Cuba City over Mineral Point. That's a ball. 2 balls and a strike. And again, to think these two teams play 5 days from now.
go, 10.
Here's the 1-1, or 2-1, excuse me. Swing and a miss, 2 strikes. 2-2 with 2 out.
Please, Brooke. Go, bud.
It's a Cuba City Fenimore game on Tuesday. Looks like that'll be for the Swall baseball lead. Tell you what happens when they play tomorrow. Popped off the backstop, 2-2. Tying run, Schultz at second. 2 out at the top of the 6th. 1-0 Cuba City. And the 2-2 pitch coming to Baylor. Fouled off again. And that hit the ground before it hit the cars. So still 2-2 with 2 out.
Go, Peyton. Here we go.
2-2. Swing and a miss. Baylor strikes out. And Guile wriggles out of a jam. 1 hit, 1 left. And we go to the bottom of the 6th with Cuba City still leading Mineral Point 1-0. And we're brought to you by Community First Bank. For you in the communities where you live, work, and play, experience for yourself the difference at Community First Bank, cfbank.com, member FDIC. And Ivy's Construction in Mineral Point. Ivy Construction Incorporated is a family-owned and operated ready-mix aggregate and excavation company serving southwest Wisconsin. Ivy's Construction in Mineral Point. Bottom of the 6th inning. And Cuba City with a 1-0 lead, trying to add to that. Again, the Brewers lost today to the White Sox, 8-0. That was on AM 1590 WPVL. We'll have the Brewers and the Cubs this weekend on AM 1590 WPVL. See if we have any other scores here. And of course, I have to type this in to do that. The Shoebox Scoreboard presented by the Shoebox in Black Earth, the largest independent shoe store in the Midwest. In the bottom of the 6th, Cruiser, Dressler, and Vosberg, and that is hit to 3rd. And Cruiser is thrown out. 5-3, 1 away. Crow to Kinch. Well, let's see, scores in progress. Prairie du Chien leading Dodgeville 5-1. That would be the first loss for the Dodgers if that's how that hangs out, if that's how that ends up. The pitch is fouled off, meanwhile. Dressler walked in the first. She's been on base twice. She walked in the first, singled in the 4th, but came home neither time. The 1-strike pitch. Straight to miss, 0-2. Platteville leading Sauk Prairie 5-0. Again, Platteville and Dodgeville next Thursday. Actually, it's sort of a 2-day doubleheader. We'll have softball, Platteville and Dodgeville next Thursday, and then we'll have baseball, Platteville and Dodgeville next Friday. The 0-2 popped up. And the catch made in center field, 2 out. Cabot making the catch. Vosberg struck out in the 1st and popped to the catcher in the 4th inning. Still 1-0. Yeah, that pitch is outside for ball 1. It'll be Kinch, Tuttle, and Kroll, the 4, 5, 6 batters for Mineral Point in the top of the 7th inning. That is hit to center field, and that is going to drop for a base hit. And digging for 2, and digging for 3, and in at 3rd is Vosberg with a triple. That's only the 4th hit of the game. That's only the 4th hit of the ball game for Cuba City, but that's a huge run, obviously. If they're able to get her home. Guile has struck out in the 2nd and then fly to center in the 4th. And takes ball 1 here. 1-0 pitch. To left field, and that was what drive in the run, a base hit. Guile helps her cause with an RBI single. Vosburgh scores, and it is 2-0 with 2 away. And obviously, Guile's out for a courtesy runner, and the courtesy runner is Emily Wigman. So she's aboard at first. Nolan struck out in the 1st, back to the pitcher in the 3rd, and meanwhile the ball gets away. And I think I now have to fix the camera. And let me try to fix it a little bit more. 1 ball, no strikes. And it's 2-0, and I think that takes care of it. Or does it? Maybe a little more work here. All right, that's better. 2 balls, no strikes. Low, and it's 3 balls and no strikes. Trina Redford is on deck. 2-0 Cuba City with 2 out in the bottom of the 6th inning. And a called strike. 3-1. Three-one pitch. Outside ball 4. So Nolan walks, 1st and 2nd. As the courtesy runner Wigman moves to 2nd base. Now Redford, who struck out back in the 2nd and flied to right in the 5th. And before that, Redford a conversation with her coach, Megan Rogeman. She's in her 5th season here. And actually, she's going to talk to everybody for the Cubans. And meanwhile, a mound conference with Mineral Point. And they got a switch. Looks like they're going to change pitchers. And that is what they're going to do. So Tuttle will be replaced by, I believe it's Tinley Backup, who is a freshman. And she comes in with 2 out in the bottom of the 6th inning and a 2-0 Cuba City lead, and they have 2 runners aboard. And if Mineral Point's got a realistic shot in the 7th, they probably need her to get this stop here and then get out of the inning. So Tinley Backup now pitching. And interesting fact about her is that according to our own Matthew Ganinin, Tinley Backup and Kinch, the first baseman, they are both freshmen, and they are both ranked top 5 collegiate prospects as freshmen in the class of 2028. Well, first pitch is ball 1. So Tuttle goes 5 2/3 innings. She's responsible for the 2 runners aboard. 2 out, bottom of the 6th, swing and a miss. That was a nice floater there. 1 ball, 1 strike. You got Wigman, the courtesy runner, at second, and Nolan at first for the Cubans. That just grazed the outside corner for a strike, 1-2. Well, if she can throw that for a strike, she's going to have a great career, because that is a very difficult pitch to hit, low and outside for right-handers. 1-2 pitch. Pop fouled on the third base line, headed to the concession stand. And it's 2 balls and 2 strikes.
Go 6.
I assume that means then that that Backup would bat for Tuttle if that happens to be a thing in the top of the 7th inning. To right field and a base hit. And nobody scores, however, as Wigman gets to third, Nolan to second, and Redfern aboard, bases loaded with 2 out. And here is Ingersoll, who struck out looking in the third, struck out swinging in the 5th. 2-0 Cuba City, 2 out in the bottom of the 6th inning. And there's a called strike. Back up for the 0-1. Right back to Backup and off her, and the throw to first is not in time, and a run scores. That will be an infield single for Ingersoll. Wigman scores to make it 3-0, and everybody else moves up. Nolan to third, Redfern to second, and Ingwell to first. RBI single for Ingersoll, I should say. And back to the top of the order, and Schaff, who homered in the first, grounded to short in the third, walked in the 5th, and takes ball 1. The 1-0 pitch. Swing and a miss. 1 ball, 1 strike. Cuddle's spot is due up second in the 7th inning, so I wonder if they would re-enter her to bat or if they would give Backup a shot. Here's a pop-up, and caught by the first baseman, Kinch, to end the inning. But 2 runs come across on 4 hits. Actually, 4 hits plus a walk, and bases loaded are left. And after 6, Cuba City 3, Mineral Point nothing on Grant Regional Health Center and People's State Bank coverage of high school softball presented by Cuba City, Kieler, Darlington Family Dental, and Carey seamless gutters and overhead doors on the Queen Bee Radio Sports YouTube channel, powered by Tim Slack Auction Realty and H&N Plumbing, Heating, and Electrical. Our game brought to you by Mountain City Bank. Their Total Line of Credit allows you to use the equity in your home to do the things you want. Stop in a Mountain City Bank to apply. Offer subject to approval. Member FDIC, an equal housing lender. Learn more at mountaincitybank.com. 3 runs, 7 hits, no errors, and 5 runners left to board. Actually, 6 runners left to board. Actually, 7 runners left to board for Cuba City. And for Mineral Point, no runs, 3 hits, no errors, and they have left 3 runners to board. Kinch, Tuttle, or Backup, and Kroll in the top of the 7th inning. And a swing and a miss by Kinch, who struck out in the first and then popped to first in the fourth inning. Community First Bank, for you in the communities where you live, work, and play. Experience for yourself the difference at Community First Bank. CFBank.com, member FDIC. Ground ball to short. 1 out. And so Kinch is 0 for 3 today. And let's see if it is. So Tuttle is going to bat. So they re-entered her. Tuttle today popped to third in the second, popped to second in the fifth. And takes low for ball 1. Now, let me correct myself. This is actually Kinch. Must have missed something here, but Kinch today. So that must have been Baylor previously. I guess I must have written down something incorrectly, but this is Kinch anyway. She struck out back in the first, popped to first in the fourth. And meanwhile, the count 3 balls and no strikes with 1 out. And that's a called strike. It's where it's helpful to actually look at the numbers. And that's ball 4. So Kinch aboard. And so Tuttle now, and that answers the question. Tuttle is re-entering to bat. Tuttle today popped to third, as I said, popped to third the second, popped to second in the fifth. That's a called ball, a strike, 0-1. You got Kinch at first, but they need more base runners than that. Mineral Point. Here's the 0-1. Swing and a miss, 0-2, and Dressler was ready to throw, but Kinch not taking off from first. And meanwhile, 2 strikes with 1 out. Popped up. And the shortstop, Vosper, will make the catch. And the Pointers are down to their last out. Here's Kroll, who grounded to second in the second inning, singled in the fifth. Pointers have had 4 hits today. Actually, 5 hits today with a walk. 4 hits today with a walk. And there's a strike. Here's the 0-1 pitch coming from Peyton Guile. Swing at this, and the Pointers are down to their last strike.
Nothing good. Nothing good.
As the Cubans try for their 4th straight shutout and 12th win in a row. 2-strike pitch. That's it. 1 hit, 1 walk, 1 left. Pointers left 5 runners aboard, and our final score today, Cuba City, the winner, over Mineral Point, 3-0. And the Cubans, with 10 wins, with 12 wins in a row, they're now 14-2 and 8-0 in the SWAL. They will go to Darlington Monday before the rematch against Mineral Point on Tuesday. Mineral Point drops to 10-5 and 7-1. They will host Boscobel on Monday, and then again Cuba City on Tuesday. And now the time for a little bit of hopefully quiet math here. 3 runs, 7 hits, no errors, and 7 runners left on board for Cuba City. And for Mineral Point, no runs, 3 hits, and no errors. And they left 4 runners on base. Peyton Guile, the winner for Cuba City, gave up the 3 hits and 1 walk. And struck out, let's see here. Nine strikeouts for Peyton Guile, and the losing pitcher is Ada Tuttle, who certainly didn't pitch badly by any stretch of the imagination. Gave up 7 hits, the 3 runs, all of them earned. She walked 3 batters. She walked 3, and she struck out, let's see here, 7 strikeouts for Tuttle. Cuba City got the home run to lead off the game by Schaff in the first inning, and then added 2 in the 6th inning. Actually, all of that with 2 out also. That's impressive. A triple for Vosberg, RBI single for Guile, a walk, RBI single for Redfern, which loaded the bases, and then the infield single by Ingersoll, and that scored the 3rd run of the ball game. Mineral Point did not have a runner. Well, they only had 2 batters get past, or base runners get past second base. They had a base hit in the first. They had a base hit in the 5th inning. They were able to move Kroll to second on a sacrifice, but she didn't get any farther than that. And then Schultz singled in the 6th, and then got to second on a wild pitch, but that's as far as she got. And that is how things go for the Pointers, as far as just not being able to get anybody home. And again, 4 shutouts in a row for the Cubans. Guile helped her own cause, 1 for 3 with an RBI and a courtesy runner scored. Vosberg was 1 for 3 with a run scored. Schaff with the home run, 1 for 3 with a run scored at RBI. And Ingersoll 1 for 2 with an RBI. And Schultz was 2 for 3 for Mineral Point. She had 2 of their 3 hits today. Well, here's an interesting question. What, with all of this, is the Tricor Turning Point? Brought to you by Tricor Insurance. Insurance plans built for you, your family, and your business. Contact Tricor Insurance today.
Right here. You don't need to call anybody. Let's hear it.
Well, I guess we'll say it was in the 5th, 2 of them, 5th and the 6th inning, when the Pointers got runners to second base. One of them on a sacrifice, and then, of course, on the single wild pitch, as we just mentioned, in the 6th. But in both cases, Peyton Guile got strikeouts to end the inning. And so Mineral Point never got the chance to tie the game. And Cubans with 1 in the 1st and then 3 in the 6th, 2 runs in the 6th, to give them some insurance. And Cuba City, the winner today over Mineral Point, 3-0. And the Cubans, for the moment, are all alone in first place in the Southwest Wisconsin Activities League. This is the Edward Jones Reeves Wealth Management post-game show on the Queen Bee Radio Sports YouTube channel. And while we have a moment, let's see if we can get the scoring app to work here. And again, the Brewers lost today to the White Sox 8-0. That was on AM 5090 WPVL. Dodgeville Prairie du Chien leading Dodgeville 6-1. That would again be the Dodgers' first loss if that score sticks. Platteville leading Sauk Prairie 6-1. And that looks like all we have on the Shoebox scoreboard, presented by the Shoebox in Black Earth, the largest independent shoe store in the Midwest. We'll have Brewers baseball this weekend, having been beaten by the White Sox. They are going to play the other Chicago team. The Cubs come to American Family Field Friday at 6:35, Saturday at 5:35, and Sunday at 12:35 on AM 1590 WPVL. And then it's Houston for 3 games. But also we'll have baseball, Fenimore at Cuba City, 4:10 on Tuesday. On the hang on just a second. I'm not sure I have that correct here. Let me just pause a moment here to check here where what is. All right, so Tuesday again, baseball. Fenimore, Cuba City, and that will be at 4:10 on the Queen Bee Radio Sports YouTube channel from Kendall Murray Field. Thursday, we will have softball again, Platteville at Dodgeville. That will be at 4:40 on AM 1590 WPVL, and then Friday we'll have baseball, Platteville at Dodgeville, and that'll be at 4:40 on X1071 from Centennial Park in Dodgeville. R.J. Osterhaus is our sports director. Johnny Page is our chief engineer, but he was not necessary today. Rob Spangler made the laptop work. Tyler Dictatus, Mr. Streaming Fix-It. Thanks for his help. Thanks also to Carey Lawson and the staff at Cuba City High School. Thanks to our sponsors who help us bring this game to you. And thank you for joining us. Great Regional Health Center and People's State Bank coverage of high school softball presented by Cuba City, Kieler, and Darlington Family Dental and Carey Seamless Gutters and Overhead Doors is a Queen Bee Radio sports presentation on the Queen Bee Radio Sports YouTube channel, powered by Tim Slack Auction and Realty and H&M Plumbing, Heating, and Electrical. Cuba City takes over first place in the Southwest Wisconsin Activities League 3-0 over Mineral Point. From the Wolf Construction broadcast table, I'm Steve Prestigard. Have a great weekend. We'll be back